the string! Pull the string!
When it comes to horror sequels in the 90s, well, let's just say things got pretty wacky as the 80s slashers and the 80s kind of shot on video, hyper stylized takes on horror kind of started to mix, and in turn we saw the rise of supposed horror comedy that was apparently not going anywhere for some time, and as a result nearly every legacy 80s horror movie was receiving more wacky takes on their subject matter, all to varying degrees of quality, of course. However, it would make for one hell of an entertaining decade. Can't deny that. Now, some of my oddball favorites from the early 90s would definitely have to be films like Children of the Corn 2, Army of Darkness with its comedy elements, Basket Case 3, which may be the greatest horror comedy sequel ever made, if I'm being honest, and with films like Chud 2, and I even love The Gate 2, although for different reasons altogether. We'll come back to that one soon, trust me. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay notified. But when it comes to my all-time favorite 90s horror sequels, well, it really doesn't get any better than Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies Go to College.
They may flunk out on manners, but they get an A in mayhem. Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies Go to College. They put the animal back in the house.
This flick is most notable for being the first of the series to not involve Charles Band or Empire Pictures, as the series was sold off in the late 80s to Vestron when Empire's finances were, ironically, in the toilet. Not that it mattered too much though, as the first two films largely have nothing to do with each other anyways. In the first two installments, they were presented as actual kind of, monsters or demons or whatever, and they were just kind of dicks. When it comes to those two though, I do prefer the sequel, as Ghoulies 2 is a pretty solid lead-in for what was coming down the line with part 3. But the films just don't mesh well story-wise, not at all. Almost feeling like there's missing movies in between each installment or something. Especially considering part 3, with its teen college tropes and, demonic toilet with comic book plot additions. Something that, I think should have been there from the start. Although it's kind of just put out there in the opening scene here in part 3. But, oddly enough, part 3 kind of ties all the films together, as the Ghoulies seem to recognize each other to some degree. Even though they are now, wisecracking, talking versions of themselves, who knew? But scheme of things, I guess it's safe to assume that the Ghoulies are different creatures in every film that are maybe just cut from the same cloth or something. Well, the first three at least. I don't know what the hell happened to the Ghoulies in part 4. Another thing that just makes this a standout sequel is the look of the Ghoulies here. Damn, usually by the third film in a rubber monster movie franchise, well, let's just say that the effects tend to drop off, but here in Ghoulies 3, we get some of the best looking Ghoulies so far, or maybe ever. These guys kick ass. Something that I'm sure is due to the involvement of effects maestro John Carr Buchler coming on to direct part 3, who of course basically created the Ghoulies, as he was in charge of the effects work in the original film and whatnot. But again, the standout look of the Ghoulies in part 3, well, it's kind of something that was lost on the franchise, as they would completely shit the bed in Ghoulies 4. Look at these things. It looks like they should be in Troll 2 or something. And another first for the franchise, aside, from the Ghoulies going to college, as I stated earlier, well, the Ghoulies finally talk in this one. They're wisecracking assholes that fit right in at college, too. It all kind of just worked out, ironically, right?
What a dump!
I guess you can really say that there is a lot of Ghoulies love shining through here in the film, with the script and the way it's shot and everything, and it really is a fun pace. It seemed that they were just really open to trying new and innovative, cool ideas, Although, I guess I'd be lying if I said this was the first college prank-based rubber monster movie. Oddly enough, there already is another one of those. You know, now that I think about it, I guess Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama would make a sweet double feature with Ghoulies 3. They're both probably the best party movies ever made.
Hey, somebody get the door!
Must be Aaron now.
And all those elements, they really make the film feel much larger than it is. The script is solid, the pacing keeps you involved with this oddball, kind of Animal House or PCU meets Critters 2 or Munchies vibe it has going on. It just works so well. And hell, we even get an all-star cast here. We get another old dude with white hair, but this time not an alcoholic asshole. No, this time we get the legendary Kevin McCarthy, absolutely chewing up the screen with his performance as an occult-obsessed college dean, hell-bent on ridding the campus of this wacky fraternity that he absolutely hates, and he's doing it all during Prank Week. So during Prank Week, he utilizes the Ghoulies to do his evil bidding and literally murder college kids, as he is the one in control of the magic comic book that is responsible for conjuring the Ghoulies from their deeply evil porcelain demonic toilet. Damn, this movie is awesome. And the tropes all come out to play here with a hint of wacky ultra-violence to boot. I mean, the kills are a lot of fun here and rival those from Ghoulies 2. And we even get the classic kind of, love triangle where we see the duality of the kid underdog guys versus the jock frat bros, with the gorgeous female stuck in between the mess. Filling out the rest of the cast, we get some real class acts. We have Eva LaRue, Billy Morissette, who I always remembered from Pump Up the Volume. We also get 80s legend Patrick Laboratoire, or I think that's how it says, the guy from Heathers, as well as Griffin O'Neill, plus an early and standout performance from Jason Scott Lee,
Mr. Yamabachi.
as well as the film debut of cult mainstream star, my man, Matthew Lillard. Plus, we get small roles from actors like Sherry Wills, Marshall Wallace, and Stephen Lee, who rounds out the cast as the campus's bumbling police officer. There is a solid underdog college story intertwined with the fantastical stuff, and it's all very effective. They kind of go the MTV generation route here, but with the party vibe, soundtrack, and the black magic, ghoulish tales and whatnot. Probably my favorite thing about the film here is that it really goes all out, especially with the bigger is better aspect. Sort of, and we get an elaborate old man hybrid ghoulie at the end of the film. I, for one, have always loved it when movies do that, when there's a big bad in the finale, like some video game or something that we also saw in films like Critters 2, Dead Alive, The Gate 2, hell, and even Ghoulies 2, which is, of course, also an exceptional horror sequel. But in Ghoulies 3, just look at this thing. It's very cool to see Kevin McCarthy so eager and willing to take on this fairly demanding role at his age. Ghoulies 3 would be the first film of the series to be released on video rather than having a theatrical run. But honestly, that's exactly where it belongs, as it basically immediately became a cult hit at local video stores and on cable, and is remembered as one of the funniest and somehow silliest films of the series. All it was missing, in my opinion, was Wasp. We will be back this STAUNCH-O-WEEN with another installment of Best Horror Sequels. But till then, subscribe and catch up on all the rest of this series, why don't ya? And let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite horror sequels. Be sure to like this video. Don't be a fucking loser.